everyone, so welcome to day 2 of the Fluent Flow Challenge. Today we're going to be looking at our hips, because I think that our hips are an extremely important way to look at understanding our poses and the transitions between the poses. So we're going to start in a Warrior One pose. So a Warrior One pose looks like this. We have our right knee bent, our left foot is back on the mat, and our hips are square to the front of our mat. Our shoulders are square to the front of our mat. So if I come towards you, you can see that in a Warrior One pose, my hips are like a little square facing you, and my shoulders are square onto you, right? So in a Warrior One, you want to focus on your feet grounding into the earth. The back foot is at an angle, and the back and the edge of the foot is gripping the mat. And we take our hands up. So remember that the feet are the foundational, grounding into the earth, and everything grows up from there. We take our hands up. And I recommend holding the pose for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now we're going to come into our Warrior Two pose. So the Warrior Two pose, I'm going to turn this way so you can see it properly. So we're going to bend into our front knee and open the arms wide. So in Warrior Two, the right knee is still bent in the front of the mat, and the shoulders are open. The hips are open. So you can start by opening the arms wide and gazing to the side of your mat, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And then when you get to this position, you can shift your gaze to your front hand. And when you're here, you can look down at your front knee and check if your knee is in line with your body. Is it not going to one side or the other? Check that here. Warrior Two. Great. So now that's Warrior One and Warrior Two. And you can see the hips are different in both. So when you transition from a Warrior One to a Warrior Two, let's start in a Warrior One position. Your hands come up, and then you exhale to come into Warrior Two. The hips open to the left side of the mat, and the shoulders squeeze together on the back. Gaze into the front hand. So let me show you here. So you can see on my hips, this is what you'd call an open hip position. If I'm just like this is an open hip position. And if you turn, you can see my hips are still open. But the square position with the hips is if the hips are parallel to each other and the body is forward. So you can see open, square, open, square. And this is a really foundational understanding to have in your yoga practice, because the poses are often organized into whether or not they're hip openers or square hips positions. So you can see that in a Crescent Warrior, where I face this way, on my back toe, the hands are up. This is like a Warrior One, but I'm in a Crescent Lunge, so I'm on my back toes. The hips are square to the front of the mat. And if you let the back heel drop, now the hips are open to the side of my mat. So the hips have come from being square to the front parallel edge of my mat to being opened to the side of my mat. So this is what we really want to understand. So here's a good exercise for you to practice this. So take your hands to your hips, and we're going to come into a Warrior One. So Warrior One, hands to the hips. And now we're coming to Warrior Two with the hips. Warrior Two, opening the hips. So you can see your hips are coming from square to open, square to open, square to open. So I hope this makes sense. This hip opening, transition in yoga is extremely important. And I would say that if you can really understand which poses are hip openers and which poses have a square hip position, It will help you to create a flow because that you can link together poses that have the same hip position, or you have to transition into a pose that has that hip position so you can then go into a different one. So for example, tomorrow in day 3 of the Fluent Flow Challenge, I will show you a few other ways to link together your square hips and your open hips to find flow in your yoga practice, as well as giving you a few other options for warm-ups and warm-downs, which can just be done sitting on the mat. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!